In episode 2, Lucien starts explaining how things started deteriorating shortly after he vanished. She tried to keep a record of everything, but next thing you know, the entire library disappeared and she hasn't been able to find it. Dream tries to rebuild everything using his powers, but without his 3 tools, he can't. He's struggling. He knows he needs to get them back. And when Lucien says, why don't you just ask one of your siblings, he snaps back that they have their own problems to deal with, their own realms. And it's not lost on him of the fact that they knew where he was this entire time. And they did nothing. They just sat back and let it happen. So no, he's not too keen on asking his siblings for help. He's got to do this himself. He knows what he has to do. He has to summon the Fates. It's 3 women who speak in riddles, but they know everything. They're going to help him, at the very least, locate his tools. The problem is, at the moment, he doesn't have the power to summon them. What he needs is something that he created. Something that remains intact, because if it's intact, it has some fragment of his power within it. He can absorb whatever it is and get a little bit of his power back to summon the Fates. And there is one such thing. It's a gargoyle named Gregory. Gregory is the pet of both Cain and Abel, the brothers. They live on the outskirts of the Dream Realm, and they are shocked when Dream shows back up, but it's a good shock. They're happy to see him again. That quickly vanishes, though, when he explains that for the sake of the dreaming, he has to take back Gregory. Taking back Gregory is like taking back one of their pets. They don't want to do it. Cain especially gets nasty with Dream, saying that you forgot us. I mean, you were gone for a century. You have no idea what we went through. You have no idea what we've lost. But Dream tells him, I didn't come here to ask you. I came here to ask Gregory. He walks up, asks the gargoyle, and the gargoyle says, okay. Both Cain and Abel say their goodbyes to Gregory, and then he's reabsorbed into Morpheus. As soon as Morpheus leaves, Cain kills Abel, which is a trend. He does this a lot. Abel ends up coming back to life. It's an adorable love-hate relationship. With Gregory reabsorbed, Dream heads to the waters, where he's going to try to locate the Fates. But the Fates aren't just going to help him for the sake of helping him. He has to give them something. Normally, he would just conjure something himself, but there's nothing from the dreaming left, which means he's going to have to find something from the dreams of others. So he dives in. What he settles on is crossroads, gallows, and a snake. He also grabs an egg that's right next to the snake, but he's going to use that for later. He's not giving that to the Fates. He then summons the 3 women, and they show up. They accept his gifts, but they tell him that he's going to have 3 questions. That is it. They will give him an answer, and then he has to move on. The first question he has is about the leather pouch that was filled with sand. They tell him that it was last sold in London and purchased by a magic user called Joanna Constantine. That name's familiar to Dream because he used to know a Constantine, but that was 300 years ago. Maybe it's a relative. He's not quite sure. He then asks the woman if she still has the sand, but that's not part of the gig. He already asked his question. He has to move on. His second question has to do with his helm and what happened to it. They tell him that it was traded away to a demon for the amulet of protection. But when he asked them which demon was it traded to, they refused to ask because he already asked his one question. He's got to move on. His final question is, who holds the ruby now? And they tell him that it was passed from a mother to a son. But when he asks where are they now, they yell at him that he's asked his 3 questions. That's it. As Lucien said, they speak in riddles. After talking to the Fates, he decides to drop off that egg at Cain and Abel's. Abel wakes up from the latest killing by his brother, and he sees the egg, and he feels like his brother left it there, but when he walks back in the house, he finds out that his brother didn't leave it there. He never would. It must have been from Dream. The egg hatches, and it's a baby gargoyle, and at first, they're a little annoyed by this. You're just going to swap out Gregory for this? But it doesn't take more than a few seconds for them to start falling in love with the little guy. They end up getting into a fight, though, about the naming of the gargoyle, and Cain kills Abel again. As for Dream, the only real lead that he has is about his sand. It was sold in London, and at least he has a name. When he has it back, he's going to seek out his helm, which he knows is in hell, based on the amulet. Lucien begs him before he goes to take a raven because Dream always travels with a raven, but Dream says no. Jessime was the last. He then tells her that if Constantine is anything like her ancestors, she'll serve him well enough. I mean, after all, she is only human. But one place he probably should have checked is with Ethel Cripps. You can't blame the guy, though. He had no idea Ethel Cripps existed. But she is flourishing, living in Buffalo, New York, and she looks damn good for her age. She's also going under an alias, and she's done everything in her power to make it look like Ethel Cripps never existed. It made it really difficult for Corinthian to locate her, but eventually he does. He tells her that that thing that was in Roderick Burgess's basement, well, it's out, and now it's coming for the both of them. Ethel can't quite figure out why it would come for her, and Corinthian explains it's coming for you because you stole his tools. He wants them back. Ethel says to him, well, I'm guessing you want them too, and he says, no, they're made of the same thing I am. What I want is to teach you how to use them, so we can make him go away for good. She tells Corinthian, I don't have them. And he says, yeah, that's too bad. I wonder if your son knows where they are. How is he doing nowadays? I'm going to ask you one last time, for your son's sake, where are the tools? She once again says, I don't have them, and he can't believe that because of how well she's doing, which she's surprised at how sexist that statement is. Woman can only be successful via magic. She goes on to explain that when she left Roderick, she traded the sand and the helm for her life in America. As for the ruby, her son John took the ruby from her. And then the ruby took John, because even though it has the power to make dreams come true, it also has the power to make nightmares come true as well. As for the location now, Ethel doesn't know, and she doesn't want to know. But Corinthian doesn't believe her, and he's got a way to find out if she's lying or not. That's by cutting out her eyes. It helps him see exactly what she's seen her entire life. So he pulls out the dagger, but she's not scared at all, because she has the amulet of protection, the thing that she traded the helm for. And when she takes it out, it makes Corinthian disintegrate, and it seems like it's pretty painful. He ends up getting transported right back to the place he was created, in the dream realm. And there's Lucien waiting for him. When Corinthian arrives, he asks Lucien, where is Dream? And when he finds out he's away, he knows that it's because he's looking for his tools. But Corinthian has no plans on staying in the realm. He wants to go back to the waking world. Even after Lucien explains that dreams and nightmares do not belong in the waking world, Corinthian feels like he fits right in. Lucien can't believe that Corinthian has no loyalty to Dream, but Corinthian says, why would I? He doesn't care about you or me. He only cares about himself, his kingdom. We can have all that, because I'm leaving and I'm never coming back. Lucien tells him he's gonna come for you, but Corinthian says if he does, he's not coming back here either. As for Ethel, she went to go visit her son John, who is in a mental institution, and a very heavily armed mental institution at that. They definitely don't have the best relationship, but she came there to talk about the ruby. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry, it'll be up in a day or two.